I wouldn't recommend listening to this alone. Many viewers miss the real horror by leaving early. Stay till the end, if you dare. I don't care if people think I'm lying. I'd actually prefer they don't believe this story, because if it's true for me, it means it could happen to anyone. Back in 2021, when I was living alone in a one-bedroom apartment in Cleveland, Ohio, I started noticing small things going missing. At first it was easy to brush off. A missing sock, keys moved slightly to the left, a cereal box I swore I had finished. Nothing major, nothing worth panicking over, but everything changed on a cold Thursday night in February. That was the night I realized someone was living in my apartment. And not just anywhere. Inside my bedroom closet. 1. Strange signs. The first weird thing happened when I came back from work around 7 p.m. The light switch in my bedroom, normally down, was flipped up. I thought maybe I left it on that morning, but I knew deep down I didn't. Another night, around 2 a.m., I woke up to the faintest creaking sound. Not from the hallway or the apartment above me. No, this sound was coming from inside my room. From the closet. I turned on the lamp, my heart pounding, and stared at the door. It was closed. The room was silent again. I told myself it was the heating system. Old pipes, wood expanding, but deep down, something felt off. Like I wasn't the only person sleeping in that room. 2. The closet door. 2 weeks later, I woke up to the sound of my closet door slowly, very slowly, creaking open. It was pitch black, around 4:13 a.m. I know because I checked the time immediately. The door wasn't fully opening. Just cracking. Just enough for someone to peek through. I sat up in bed so fast I nearly fell off. "Hello," I said. There was no response. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and shined it directly at the closet door. It wasn't moving anymore. It stayed half open, like something, or someone, had frozen when I spoke. After 5 minutes of building courage, I got up and approached the door. The air around it felt colder than the rest of the room. I pulled it open the rest of the way. Nothing. Just my clothes, shoes, old storage boxes. But the closet smelled wrong. A damp, sour scent, like sweat and old wood. I closed the door, checked the lock on my apartment door, and went back to bed with the light on. 3. Missing food. 3 days later, I opened my fridge and found something disturbing. My leftovers, half a pizza, were gone. Not eaten, not thrown away, gone. My milk had been moved to the wrong shelf. My soda bottles were half empty. One of my yogurts had a spoon mark in it. I lived alone. Nobody had a spare key. Nobody visited. That night I barely slept. Every creak from the closet made my skin crawl. 4. The phone video. Everything changed the night I decided to record myself sleeping. I set my phone on my nightstand, camera pointed toward the closet door. I hit record at 1:58 a.m. and crawled into bed. Sometime around 4 a.m., I woke up briefly to a small noise, like fabric brushing against wood. But I didn't get up. I didn't look. I forced myself to go back to sleep. When I woke up at 7, the video was still recording. I hesitated for a long time before pressing play. The first hour was normal. Me rolling over, cars outside, nothing crazy. But at 3:42 a.m., the closet door slowly, almost painfully slowly, opened. I felt goosebumps crawling up my entire body. Nothing came out. At 3:49, something moved inside the darkness. A faint shape shifted behind my clothes. I paused the video and turned up the brightness. My heart dropped. A hand, a thin, pale hand, was gripping the inside edge of the door. Long fingers, dirty nails. Then the door opened wider. And someone stepped out. She was barefoot, wearing baggy clothes I didn't recognize. Her hair was long and messy, covering most of her face. She walked hunched, slow, deliberate, like she had done this many times. She moved to the foot of my bed. And she stood there, watching me sleep. For almost 9 minutes. I couldn't breathe. I felt sick. I had to pause the video twice because my hands were shaking so violently. At 3:58, she leaned down toward my face, close enough that I could see strands of her hair brushing my blanket. She whispered something I couldn't make out. Then she stood back up, walked to the closet, and slipped inside, closing the door quietly behind her. For 2 whole minutes after the video ended, I couldn't move. Couldn't think. Couldn't breathe. Someone was living in my closet. Someone who walked around when I slept. Someone who watched me. 5. The confrontation. I left the apartment immediately, didn't even put shoes on. I waited in my car until the police arrived. 4 officers came. They entered my apartment with weapons drawn while I waited downstairs. After 10 minutes, one of the officers came outside. "You should come see this," he said. His tone alone made my stomach twist. They took me up to my apartment, into my bedroom, and pointed at the back corner of the closet. Behind my clothes, the officers had found a loose panel in the wall, an opening barely big enough for a grown person to squeeze through. Behind the panel was a small crawlspace I never knew existed. Inside it were a thin blanket, 2 water bottles, a half-eaten granola bar, a phone charger, and a journal. I didn't want to touch it, but one officer read a few pages aloud. The handwriting was small and shaky. "He sleeps at 2. He breathes loud. I like when he leaves the light on. Makes it easier to come out. He cleaned his closet today. He almost saw me. He is lonely. I watch him so he won't feel alone." My legs nearly gave out. The officer put his hand on my shoulder. "There's more," he said quietly. He read the last entry. Written in bigger, darker letters. "I think he knows. I hope he doesn't leave. I only watch people I like." I felt my stomach twist violently. The girl wasn't in the crawlspace. She wasn't in the apartment. She had escaped through a maintenance hatch connecting to the building's old piping system. They never found her. 6. The final night, I never went back to live there. I packed my belongings with 2 officers watching me. But there's one detail I'll never forget. When I was taking down my bedroom curtains, I found something wedged between the window and the frame. A small note, folded. I didn't want to open it, but the officers encouraged me to. Inside, written in the same shaky handwriting, "Don't worry, I'll find you again. You sleep so peacefully." I dropped the note like it burned my fingers. The officers scanned the entire area again, nothing. I moved to a new apartment 2 hours away that same week. For months afterward, I taped my closet doors shut. I slept with the lights on. I checked under my bed every single night. It's been 3 years, and I still wake up sometimes at 3 or 4 a.m., convinced that someone is standing near me. Listening, watching, waiting for me to fall asleep again. Sometimes I even dream about her. Sometimes I wake up sure that I saw a thin, pale hand slowly sliding my closet door open. Just a crack. If this story stayed in your mind longer than it should, leave a like, subscribe to Grim Wave, and tell me in the comments what part disturbed you the most.